Yo,
What up?
Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the Tasting Room live stream on
It
January
is the new year.
2nd. It is.
Yeah.
We were off a little bit on our dates last week.
True.
Let me I'm not going to throw you under the bus.
Well,
I was off on my dates. I thought the 2nd was yesterday, so
I can own it because I didn't correct you.
you did not correct me. You actually thought I saw the hamster wheel spin a little bit, and either you just went with it or just chose not to correct me. One of the two.
It was one of those things where I was like, well, I'm just going to, I guess, go with it.
Yeah. So instead of coming on during the national championship semifinal last night, which was a fantastic game between Texas and Washington,
Correct.
I just pushed it today. So
Which
here we are.
I think is a better move.
Yeah. And we had a good first day of January
It's
yesterday.
true. Yeah.
Sat with this guy at Bishop Quigley's, which if you haven't been, that's one thing I want to get into at some point tonight, and we can do it. We have 2 guests scheduled to come on.
Correct.
You can talk about the first guest here in just a second. Then my brother is actually going to join us the second half of the show. He, I wouldn't say he's a degenerate gambler. That's strong. So I would never say those words to his face.
But he likes chicken.
He does like chicken. We talked about that. And he likes to put a little action on the games. And
Okay.
So I figure getting his reaction from the semifinal game, talk about the championship game, talk about the last weekend of the NFL season coming up.
Yep.
Anything like that. Just, one of my favorite podcasts is the Bill Simmons podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. And he has Cousin Sal on like once a week.
All right.
And so that's kind of like my idea. So like if it fits to have like, I don't know what we would call him, but my brother on occasionally to talk sports.
Am I going to have to start following sports
No,
closer now?
You can just sit there and drink.
Okay, cool.
We can
I
talk
like
about
that.
it. Yeah. And we can do the talking.
I can add a thing or two in.
Sure. And CJ's trying to get to a scratch golfer, so you guys have that.
Trying.
Yeah.
Trying
he's probably a 4 handicap, 5 handicap right now.
He's got about 5,000 more hours on the driving range.
I figured that's and we can talk about that with him, but I figured that's one of the hardest, like going from 100 to 90, 90 to 80, 80 to 70, not the hardest thing in the world.
So 100 to 80.
Yeah.
Pretty darn easy. In the retrospect of like sports.
Chip and putt.
Yeah. Chip and putt, drive, stay in the fairway as much as you can. Going from 80 to 70.
Yeah, I guess 70.
That is well, I mean, like if we're talking going from hitting mid 80s to mid 70s every single time, that's a pretty difficult feat.
Yeah. I mean, that's no 3 putts or very rare.
Right. And then going from mid 70s, which I probably live in now, to like scratch golf, which means that you're
high 60s,
low 70s. Yeah. Even I had not saying that your brother can't do it, but
I don't know. Yeah, you might be right.
Even boy, howdy. That's what broke the camel's back for me.
That's when you knew you were done.
It was just like, I can't hit 68 every single time.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, okay, well, probably not.
If I can't do that, then what am I doing? Yeah,
exactly.
Just be happy that you're mid 70s and better than 99% of the other golfers in the world.
I can go out on a scramble and make a team win every other time.
Sure.
So that's cool.
I started off the 2024 with a first for me.
What'd you do?
Showed up to a bar with a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Very.
I mean, but you owned it.
I mean, yeah.
He strolled into Bishop Quigley, which is a new bar here in Tulsa.
A new pub.
Pub. Yeah, I shouldn't call it bar.
I mean, that's fine. We sat at the bar.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to kind of do dry January. But I think that you were more or less nursing a 3-day hangover.
Not even necessarily a hangover in that, like, I drank too much and felt bad. I rarely ever string together.
You progressively drank for multiple days.
Yeah. And it just like, I was over it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of over it.
Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah. And so I'm doing as my neighbors, Amber and Curtis Failer said, Amber coined it a damp January.
Okay.
And then that started a whole rabbit hole of what's the difference in damp and moist. And so we had to look up
Are we allowed to say moist?
I mean, I just did. So
okay.
Yeah, and you did. So we had to look up the definition.
Moist.
The definition of moist actually includes the word damp.
Interesting.
So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Basically answering a question with a question type thing. Like
right.
You're not getting anywhere. But she works for Tito's. And so in a weird way similar to me, where like I have a lot of happy hour meetings. I have a lot of this. If I get there first, I'll order like a mocktail or something and just not tell them what I'm drinking.
Yeah. It's kind of difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because
you have to taste your product.
Well, but also people are like, when I have a meeting, which
they want to have it at the
every single day. No, I mean, sometimes it's at the brewery, sometimes it's not, but it's always, hey, you want to go out for a beer? And it's like, I can't say no.
I mean,
I could,
because it's like asking a tax accountant if they want to come over to your house and get into QuickBooks or something. Like if you do it all day, like why,
yeah, I guess I could be.
You could say like, no,
well,
how about we?
I'll meet you up and
do yoga.
Yeah,
or something, right? Like you could
probably do need to do yoga, dude. That I will say this: first day of the new year, I wake up. Well, I guess today would be the second. Yeah,
correct.
I wake up and Lisa needed just a day yesterday, and so we sat on the couch for 3 hours last night and watched Sound of Music.
Oh.
And ate pizza.
Yeah.
And it was just a
Where do you order your pizza from if you eat pizza?
Ooh, we're Domino's fans.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so
screw local. We're ordering Domino's, damn it.
Now it does hurt my soul to say that, but there is a reason.
I've had great Pizza Hut here, and we will talk about that in a second. Yeah.
I will say this. The reason that we go Domino's, and it is not because, like, I think Elgin is some of the best pizza in the world.
You have to have like that New Haven style, but yeah, and I do. I mean, so yeah, I'm with you.
I honestly do think it's some of the best. I think Tulsa has some of the best pizza in the world.
I cannot co-endorse that statement.
That's fine,
because I feel like the kind of pizza I like is almost the New Haven style, but not quite. Like, I don't like the Elgin's is square and you get those square. Like, I like having crust in every piece. And I like the crispiness and I'm
the same way.
But there's not a lot of that kind of good pizza in Tulsa.
Sure.
That's like crispy and like almost like a cracker with like pizza stuff on it.
Okay. Well,
so, for my personal taste, but they're like Andolini's is great. Doro's great. La Roma's great. Like there is really good pizza.
Right.
But what I prefer isn't really here. And maybe that's screaming John should open a pizza restaurant. But
yeah, you have to have your style that you like.
Yeah.
But so this is the reason why I think so why we order Domino's when we order in is because of this nostalgic manner of when we lived in Japan. The most consistent thing that we had was Domino's. And so when we have a day like that, we get very nostalgic for those moments.
I got you.
And we go for Domino's. And it comes to your door in like 20 minutes.
That's for your right ear, by the way. The reason we just did that, you want to introduce your guest to the
so our guest that we're going to have on here in just a moment is our own Jonathan Trout at Cabin Boys Brewery, our wonderful brewer and cellarman. And the reason he's popping in is to do a little rendezvous of our podcast Kettle Editions that just came out this last week.
It did. So normally your schedule is every Wednesday because of the holiday. Your schedule in
it got a little
France and all that. Thankfully, Trout was flexible enough to do it a different day. What's up, dude? Happy New Year!
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year!
Everything's good. Everything's good. So, what was it like being on a podcast for the first time? You told me. And this is going to sound like this podcast is sponsored by Bishop Quigley's, which, hey, Elliot, holler at me. We want to do that because we were just talking. Austin and I went there yesterday, but I saw you there. What was it, a couple days before that, maybe? And you were saying that was the first podcast you'd ever done.
Yeah, that was. It was the first podcast I was on. It was a good little break in my day in the cellar because I kind of got to split that up, take a break, and jump on the podcast with Austin and. Before I had to finish up the day. So it was pretty fun.
Boss gave you a get out of jail free card or like a midday break. I like it.
Normally they can't drink during the day. So that was kind of a bonus.
There you go. Austin, tell people that haven't watched, without giving away the entire episode because you want to go listen to it.
Yeah.
what was the genesis of the conversation?
So Trout brought in some wonderful expertise of breaking down how we fixed a dissolved oxygen issue in one of our hazy IPAs,
Ooh.
Trail Magic.
Okay.
Yeah, Trout, you want to put in a little 2 cents into that without giving up everything that happened in the podcast?
Let me just say this, as a not brewer, dissolved oxygen is a phrase or a 2-word combination I don't think I've ever spoken in my life.
Well, you would, if you listen to the podcast, you would know what that means.
I mean, I have, because I had to edit it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think I've said those words out loud. Like, I don't think that's, like, I don't know. You can take it, Trout, and tell me what dissolved oxygen is.
Yeah. So, real quick, dissolved oxygen in beer is, it can provide an off flavor that kind of comes across as stale or cardboardy, kind of void of flavor. So it's going to take out all the flavors you intended to have in that beer. And then in hoppy beers especially, it can even discolor your beer. And we were even seeing some discoloration in Trail Magic, which, like Austin said, is our hazy IPA. But we had this ongoing problem with that for about 18 months, mainly in that Trail Magic beer. The episode basically is just diving into the processes, I guess, that we took over those 18 months to eradicate that issue. And I mean, it came down to a bunch of trial and error on our part. I guess not error, just trial, trying a bunch of different things.
We had some error.
Well, we did. But it was just trying a bunch of things that we knew how to do at the brewery, and then even looping in some expertise from one of Austin's friends from brewing school in Germany and Chicago, Max Schaefer over in Jackson Hole at Roadhouse Brewing.
I love Schaefer. He's he's just so smart. He's a good person to have as a resource, and he was kind enough to jump on a Zoom call with our brew team, and they kind of had gone through a similar, pretty exact issue with one of their hazy IPAs. So we got to jump on a Zoom call with him. He let us know some steps they took to figure that problem out, and we were able to implement some of that stuff we haven't tried before. It was just a year and a half of trying a bunch of different things, trying to figure it out. Yeah. Are you a proponent or just don't really care about dry January?
I don't care. I've tried. I respect the folks that do it. I have tried in the past, and beer is just one of a few things I love in life, and I'm not gonna cut that out.
He's a true brewer by heart. I mean, so Trout and I have actually tried to be buddy.
Yeah,
almost every year. Wouldn't that be right?
Buddy.
So we tried
buddy.
Oh, like to do it together.
Yeah,
hold
to
each
do
other
it together and hold ourselves accountable in a dry January or a dry February or something, because we do drink a lot of beer.
Sure.
So, it's at least somewhat okay for us to try and not drink for a little while.
I also don't know if you guys could ever not drink.
It's
because of your
impossible.
job, right? I mean, you have to try the beer at some point, right?
Yeah, you have to QA/QC.
Yeah, I mean, you just throw it out there to the public and be like, "Hey, this is dry January lager. Good luck." Like, I don't know what it tastes like.
It's the shifty beers. Like, once you're done with your shift, that's what for me, that's what I look forward to. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're going crazy every single day, but it's a nice little something to look forward to, and I don't want to take that away. I can do it in moderation,
I'm trying, and I'm the same way. Like I'm usually a moderate. Like I'll try to go Sunday through Wednesday and not drink if I can,
Right.
and then Thursday happy hour to Sunday brunch. It's just if it's there, sure, I'll have a drink or I'll have some bourbon or I'll have some wine or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But we were talking before you came on, like it wasn't a bender necessarily, but it felt like one to me because leading up to New Year's Eve, I think I had 3 or 4 days in a row where I ended up going out with random groups of friends or needed to drink because of family stuff or like whatever
Right.
the reason is. And it got to January 1. I was like, man,
he showed up to Bishop Quigley with a cup of coffee,
my mug from home, mind you, walked into it. That's how good of a friend I am, Trout. I showed up because Austin wanted to have a beer with my coffee mug and had a soda water and my coffee.
I actually didn't point that out, but I was thinking it. That was a fantastic friend move.
Oh, I appreciate
you
that.
were like,
Yeah,
hey,
that's great.
Buddy wants to go to a bar.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Yeah. But so what I just finished was not my favorite thing I've tried. So I went to Ranch Acres today and picked up some NA stuff just so I can, I don't know. I also like the taste of beer and and bourbon and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, I'm not going to try to totally go sober this month or whatever, but maybe some weeks I won't drink if I can trick myself into thinking I'm drinking. So I got the non-alcoholic Stella because in my mind I was like, well, normally Stella kind of tastes like shit. So the non-alcoholic would probably also kind of taste like shit. So maybe it's so closely aligned that I can't tell the difference. Was actually an accurate assumption on my part. I had that earlier.
Hey, if you start with it, is it easy to keep going with?
So I'll say that. So this Guinness, I don't know if you've ever had the non-alcoholic Guinness.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So what I told
NA,
Austin, I equated it to if you go to Mikosina and you start with the Skinny Mambo Taxi and you don't go off the Skinny Mambo Taxi, you'll never know the difference. Like it tastes to your mind and palate just like a Mambo Taxi. But if you go from a regular to a skinny or from a skinny to a regular, then you're like, oh, that was awful. Like that's not nearly as good as the real thing,
Right.
But yeah, so if I start with this zero, this Guinness Zero, then I think it's great.
It's a good month to try out the different NA options, and we've had some pregnancies pop up with some of the guys' wives in the brewery, Austin's included.
So I've heard, yeah.
But so I've tried out, Austin with Lisa and then Quentin's wife. So Guinness 0.0 and Heineken 0.0 are probably my two favorites.
I don't know if I've had the Heineken.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Okay.
The interesting thing, Trout, that Lisa has not had of a craving throughout this whole entire pregnancy is she told me in Paris when, she's seeing me drink a bunch of wine, she was like, I have had no craving for alcohol.
Is she normally much of a drinker though, or does she just kind of sip here and there?
She sips here and there, but she had no craving. Wild.
I kind of get that with the NA thing, like it's never going to taste quite the same, but then you start thinking, well, it comes down to calories or something, right? Like, should I use my calories elsewhere?
Yeah, it gets, so the first thing I tried, was it Green Bar? Okay. Yeah. It's something that you guys also sell at the brewery.
Yeah.
And it was a de-alcoholized rum and what they called cola, but it wasn't cola. I mean, it was zeros. Like it had no sugar, it was like 60 calories for the can and whatever. It was not
de-alcoholized rum.
It would taste great with rum in it. Yeah, that's what I figured out. I was like, yeah, well, this would be great with rum or cola, and then it's like that's not as healthy for you. No, but this is solid. Anything you want to touch on about anything else, podcast work related or anything before we let him go? We interrupted like his night and dinner and everything, so
yeah,
we appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely.
No, what I would say is when Trout and I tried to do any kind of dry month together, we're normally the ones that talk each other into it's probably okay if we drink.
Sure. So you're not actually not looking for an accountability partner. You're looking for a cellmate in jail. Like you want to get in trouble together.
An accountable person to make it okay to drink again.
Fair.
No, so I remember, Austin, that is actually what made me just give up on it. Like we tried to do March last year.
Yeah.
And
that was a terrible month.
Yeah, that's a horrible month.
We'll drink this day. Oh, well, then St. Patrick's Day, that's a freebie day. We had like 5 freebie days, and I'm like, okay, this is stupid.
I mean, I used to try to do February because it was the shortest day of the month, or shortest month of the year. Sorry,
that's the move right there.
Well, this year I realized this. Did you know 2024 is a leap year? So there's 29 days in February, so it'd only be 2 days less. So it's like, all right,
that's right.
Just might as well do it. Before we let you go, since it is January 2nd, what was the single best beer you had in 2023? I'm going to totally put you on the spot.
Oh man, I'm going to have to go with, I think, okay. I had a lot, but one that sticks out in my mind is, it was a Pilsner in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Ooh.
My wife and I were up there for a little anniversary trip, catch a couple hockey games, but the brewery is Waldman's Brewery. They're in it's basically a 2-story house from the 1800s. And they do straight up German style beers, probably 7 or 8 on tap, all German style. But their Pilsner were just spot on. I mean, yeah, I still think about it today. So I'm going to have to go with the Waldman's Pilsner up in St. Paul.
I'm going to have to go visit that place. I have family in Prior Lake. My dad and stepmom live just southwest of Minneapolis. And so I was up there last year too, in 2023 for a concert. I took my dad to, and just to hang out. We went to Surly, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I need to go check that out next time I'm up there. That sounds right up my alley.
It's a cool building. They've got like the original wood floors in there, original wood burning stoves. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool place. Great beer. They're doing some good stuff there.
That's awesome. Well, man, we'll let you get back to your night. Thanks for jumping on and chatting.
Yeah, guys. Thanks. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. We'll talk to you soon, man. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. That was fun.
That was super great.
I'm going to let my brother know he's looking like he's doing the 840 spot.
Sweet.
Just to let him know. Yeah. So how did you find Trout when it came to work? Like, how do you find, it's actually a good topic of conversation. How do you find in the brewery world, like, I mean, there's not, well, maybe there is like what's a job hunting site? I'm drawing a blank, careers.com, something like that, where like, I'm an experienced brewer of 13 years looking for a job. I like romantic walks on the beach. And where
no, there's really not one out there. We post, the way that we found Trout, we posted online or on our Instagrams that we were looking for a brewer, or not a brewer, but a cellarman.
Okay.
Or someone to help in the back in production. And so, man, in the state of Oklahoma, well, and I don't really know if this is, nationwide. I'm sure that there's some places that you can post for job descriptions and whatnot, and I have one, but man, in the state of Oklahoma, we just don't have a bunch of people that you can find that are willing to work in manufacturing beer, or have the expertise to do it,
or move here from Denver or Portland.
No, we got really lucky with Quentin, because he was a operations manager of a pretty large brewery in Kentucky, and I heard through the grapevine that he was wanting to move back to Oklahoma, because he's really good friends with Cody, and so we got hooked up with him that way, and really didn't even post about the job. But with Trout, he was, this is dead of COVID, and that was when everybody was shaping their new lives and trying to find a new industry to work in, more for passion rather than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so we interviewed Trout during COVID and brought him on. And it's really cool because, he's coming from a background of technical writing for engineers and like SOPs and this, that, and the other.
I didn't know that.
So he's a pretty prolific editor and writer. But when he came on, he didn't have any preconceived notions of how to do things.
So it's like
which is great
that you could just mold into.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, that gives me and my team an opportunity to shape and tell everyone that we're training in that kind of scenario how things are done, and they don't necessarily question it in the beginning. Now, I want all of our team to think critically and question and see how we can do things better. And Trout's one of the most prolific cellarmen. So
what's that mean to be a cellarman?
Taking care of the cellar. So everything on the cold side of beer. Now, Trout is now a full brewer and has been for a couple years now. But he knows how to just, him in the cellar, he's just knows how to take care of the beer really, really well in a manner and a efficiency that's, next to none. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So that's how we found him.
Yeah.
And then morphed him into, and he's taken upon himself to do continuing education and whatnot in his own time, and has become an excellent and very prolific brewer in and of himself. So you sometimes get lucky.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more word of mouth, grapevine.
Yeah, and just trying to find someone that's willing to work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you found your
more
chef
than anything
at Brew Pub through social media, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it sounds like that's, been your ticket to a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really more or less like, does the person looking for the job match with the culture that you have?
Mm-hmm.
And are they willing to work?
Yeah.
How, I'll flip the coin on you.
Sure.
In Oklahoma, I mean, we're kind of a budding state
mm-hmm.
in your realm in media. How have you found, or do you have to look for often for new people to edit or to work with or train?
Tough. It's tough. So the way I have built and continue to build my company is a direct answer to that, which is I use a bunch of independent contractors.
Yeah.
Because, my head of production had family here, was in LA, was looking to get back because during COVID in California, he wasn't able to travel much, and his parents were getting older. And so, I got lucky there. My head of sales is a girl that have known for a couple of years, and I met her through a mutual friend, and then met her husband, and she was just had this she had never done sales before, but she just had this personality where I was like, pretty girl that could talk to anyone and had no qualms or like reservations about talking to strangers, or could, all that, could sell ice to an Eskimo, all the different sayings.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I heard that she was kind of shopping around for something else, what else is out there type thing. And I just convinced her basically. I was like, hey, you would be good at this. If you're not, you don't have to do it, but like, let's do a trial run,
let's see how it goes.
It. Yeah. She's great at it.
That's
great
awesome.
at it. Yeah. But I'm looking, I'm actually in this quandary. It's what I spent the back part of 2023 trying to figure out. And, my dad used to, there's the whole, what I'm about to say, it'll come full circle in a second.
Sure.
It'll sound weird.
I'll stay with you.
When I was married years ago, my dad used to say, and we would talk about like having kids or something like that. And I would tell my dad, like, I'm not ready to have a kid. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And he told me, and I never forgot it because it applies to so many different things. He said, if you wait till you think you're ready to have a kid, you'll never have a kid.
That's true.
And I was like, okay. And so towards the end of 2023, I was looking at the business and I was like, I really need to hire at least one other person in early 2024. Like someone that can wear a couple different hats, can basically be an assistant, but then help with marketing and help with sales and like do a few different things. I was like, but I'm not really like, I like being lean. I don't, I want the profit margins high. I want it to look good on paper. I want it to do all this stuff. Like maybe I'm not ready to hire someone right now. And then I remembered that I heard my dad in my head. And so it's like, no, fuck it. Like I just need to do it and figure it out. Right. Like do it, make it work. And so I'm looking now for that person. I think I found him. We have a meeting with him on Thursday, but yeah, so we'll see. But it's not easy.
Yeah,
it's not easy. And like, I talked to, I'm not going to name names, but I talked to my friends, and one of my friends in particular in the restaurant industry, and he was complaining about the way his wait staff was doing something and not doing things, and the expo, this and that. And he just kind of shrugged his shoulders and he's like, yeah, but that's the workforce nowadays. And I'm like, well, how's that okay? Like, where did we get to a point in society where like just kind of doing your job half-assed and showing up to collect a paycheck, or in their case, tips,
it's not
is like, okay,
it's not going to bode nothing against work staff and this, that, and the other, but it's not going to stay that way.
And look, I get it too. Like I'm talking about not like the highest level of proficiency needed to have said job.
Sure.
So maybe the average median of like work ethic and stuff will be lower than in other careers or industries or whatnot. But
sure.
But then you see, the flows of the world that have been working at the local diner, busting their ass for 40 something years.
And they're, if you have a good work ethic and do your job well, then you're going to get more tips. Yeah. You're going to have more regulars. You are in and of itself making that job a higher proficiency.
Sure. And I wasn't taking a shot at the industry, because I love everybody in the industry.
Yeah, I wasn't hearing that. But the better that you do your job, the more stable you're going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, true. Just period.
And that applies to any walk of life, honestly. But yeah, especially one where the money you make is directly tied to the effort you put in.
Yeah. And especially the service industry.
Sure.
People can definitely pick out if you're being lazy or not.
Yeah.
When you're being served, oh my goodness. You can see it in an instant.
Yeah. So I do like, and we talked about this at Quigley's with a little Marco, who was there, who's the executive chef that helped open up Noche. And he'll come on at some point. He's going to try to figure out how and when. But, I love the direction. And I don't know. I need to figure out if it's nationwide or if it's already been in bigger cities and now we're just kind of getting to this way.
Sure.
But where it's just like uber local, like pods of things that are opening together, right? Like your neighborhood, the Maple Ridge grocer next to Bishop Quigley's, around the corner from Tina's, which is across the street from Mercury Lounge, which is next to De Alessandro's,
and that
farm
little
bar.
Nebulous of a neighborhood thing. Like, you might have people living a half a mile from that don't go anywhere else but there.
You wouldn't need to.
Yeah.
And then, I've heard a rumor about who's going in, but imagine if American Solera was still in that spot.
No, I know.
I mean, they have to be kicking themselves that they're not in that spot,
Well, I mean, they kind of got kicked out.
They did. And the building was kind of...
It wasn't their fault.
Yeah. And the building was kind of crap too.
True.
But
yeah.
I mean, you guys have that at 6th and Utica.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's the whole brewery. It's mainly breweries, but...
Correct.
From Nothing's Left to Marshall's, basically.
Yeah. It's a corridor of I mean, it's the brewery district.
Yeah. Downtown. I mean, downtown's kind of downtown, but the arts district you have.
I mean, you still have pods,
some pockets,
in downtown. And so we've got the arts district, then you've got the Blue Dome district, and is that the two? Is there another one that I'm missing?
I'm trying to think.
It's kind of like chopped into a quadrant.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And there's now like restaurants sprinkled in the bottom of buildings throughout and whatnot.
But you still have this feel of like you've got the ball field. Let's call it the ball field district, where Isla's and Elgin.
I still kind of consider that Bishop or
the Arts District,
Tulsa Arts District. Yeah,
but I mean, even that feels different than Main Street.
Yeah,
where we are.
Yeah, maybe that's the ballpark district or whatever.
Yeah,
and then you have Kendall Whittier.
Yeah,
Cherry Street,
Greenwood.
Greenwood, yeah. Greenwood, I want to see get some places in there that like really draw attention to it.
I think that they will.
Lefties doesn't do it for me.
No.
Wanda J's is great.
Yeah.
But not having fat guys there. R.I.P. Chris Dodge. It just wasn't the same after he passed. And what else? I mean, the museum I haven't been in yet, but I've heard great things.
I haven't either.
I know. I need to do that. Are there any other restaurants or bars? There's really not, right?
No, not really.
Yeah.
There's a couple.
Yeah. But I just love that. I love, and I can't wait to see what happens in places like Owen Park where we're, well, I guess I just threw out where
we are.
We live, but
well, they don't know what house.
True. Yeah. So we both live in Owen Park. Yeah.
It would be really rad to see a couple of like neighborhood bars in Owen Park or cool? Grocery stores to open, like small local grocery stores.
If we could get an Owen Park grocer, like Maple Ridge grocer,
would be sick.
Yeah. If we could, and they were supposed to be not far from here. McNally's was doing the concept at the old like power plant.
Okay.
It was like under the highway over there. It might have technically been Sand Springs, but it was that way.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction. I think
that way.
Yeah. And it was going to be in collaboration with a few different things. There was going to be like a bicycle shop in there, a coffee shop. I mean, it's this massive place that they gave me a tour of. What's the name of the brewery that Mitch does?
Mitch
Rapture.
Oh, okay.
From involved with
Prairie
Creek Farms.
Yeah.
So they were going to have like a tap room in there and like brew some beer in there.
Nice.
I don't know what happened to it. I know probably COVID happened to it.
Sure.
I don't know if that's still a plan or not, or what they're doing, but
who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there are neighborhoods that could, well, and we didn't even mention Brookside when we were talking about pods, because I was going to say and Utica Square and all that kind of stuff.
It's a huge pod. Yeah.
Yeah. But really, Owen Park's one of the, I wouldn't say the last remaining bastions of like needing something like that, but
really
this part of town really doesn't have, there's a meat shop that just opened over there.
Oh, cool.
In the rundown shopping center. Like across just
like where Walgreens is,
just west of the country club. Yeah. Where Walgreens is. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I just love that direction. I'm just, even when I travel, like I'm a non-commercialized, like,
correct.
Give me local. If I can find an Airbnb in a part of town where I can Uber and then just walk, and there's bars and restaurants and grocery stores and coffee shops and all the things, like I'm in heaven.
Oh yeah. Well, and you can feel it too. Like you, even in a town like this, you can definitely feel of like where what would you call it? More commercialized neighborhoods are, and then where the actual people live. You can even feel that in Tulsa.
Sure.
Going
south of I-44,
pretty much.
I mean, so if you guys are watching this and you're not in Tulsa, basically that's probably a little far north, but probably from like 61st. So Tulsa's a big grid, right? 61st to 71st is a mile, to 81st, all that. It's a mile apart. And then there are street names going the other way, but south of 61st all the way to 111th, probably.
Hugely commercial.
Yeah. I mean, it's all your chain restaurants.
It's suburbia.
I mean, it totally is suburbia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be considered like parts of Jinx, parts of Broken Arrow, parts of Bixby, South Tulsa, but it's just this big. But then you have like within Broken Arrow proper, you have the Rose District, and you have Broken Arrow Brewing Company, and you have like some other little pockets, but
that's
still Broken Arrow.
Yeah, and it's still a little bit plastic.
Less so than like 101st and Memorial.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know.
Sorry, I didn't want to throw. I'm not throwing shade on Broken Arrow.
I'll defend him if I feel like you are. I like the Rose District.
I grew up in Broken Arrow, so I can throw shade if I want to.
I do like the Rose District, that downtown.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's cool.
Feel. Yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I like the direction because I'm not a fan of like. That's why I was kind of giving you shit about Domino's, but not really, because when I was at Josh and Hayden's house, and this has probably been,
I roll my own eyes at my own self.
I mean, dude, I ate more Domino's than I care to admit when I was at Channel 8, because every ball game you went to, the media meal was just a stack of Domino's pizzas. And so you would just go grab a slice and go do your thing.
Yeah.
But this was probably, I'll have to check with Hayden. I don't know if Josh would remember how long ago this was. Hayden might. I'm thinking 2 years, and it still sticks in my mind how good the pizza was. Like, we ordered it. It was like a snow day or something, I believe. And we ordered just like a couple pizzas from Pizza Hut, thin crust, cheese.
Dude, the thin crust at Pizza Hut
it was one of the best pizzas I've had in this town. Like, it was unreal. Yeah. And we all ate it.
But
like,
it's good.
We started eating it, and then I looked at Hayden, and she looked at me, and I looked at Josh, and he looked at Hayden, and we were like, is this really Pizza Hut?
Good.
Like, what's happening? So I have the Pizza Hut app on my phone. I have ordered Pizza Hut multiple times since. It's never been quite as good as that day. Something to do with the cigars and the alcohol and the snow and the pizza. It was just this perfect combination of this is great. But no, I just, there are certain circumstances in which, like, you have to acknowledge that a restaurant became a chain because they obviously do something right.
Yeah.
There's something about what they do that is right.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I'll go eat Taco Bell with anybody. I'll go to Jimmy John's. I'll go to Chipotle. But I would like to think that probably 90% of my meals that I don't cook myself, I try to eat somewhere local.
Correct.
Just to support.
Oh, yeah.
The community.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that as a local business owner, I would say 90% of the time that I'm trying to buy something, it's going to be pouring money back into the community.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just kind of the habit.
Does that change the equation when you think, because you kind of already did this, but when you think expansion of a business, specifically, and we'll just talk in the like food and beverage space.
Sure.
Like you probably don't want to go to South Tulsa where everyone is used to are things that they see in every city and they grew up with probably. And, we're talking like the Popeyes and the Chick-fil-A's and the Subways and the, just, I don't think Cabin Boys or American Solera or Heirloom or Marshall's fits there. So you almost have to find a pocket that needs what you have to offer, or like a space, right? Like your downtown.
Like you'd have to, if you went like north or south, you'd have to like downtown Jinx.
Okay.
It's kind of like
Didn't
that.
They have a brewery that didn't work there? Or is it still there?
I'm not sure.
I'm sorry if you guys are still open. That'd be bad.
They are not.
Okay.
Or they're closing.
Yeah.
Or trying to close or something like that. That's the
Cape?
The Cape.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were outside of the pocket that I was thinking of. They were kind of in a strip mall on the very west side of Jinx.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it just doesn't work, or
we're doing a project with the 10 district out there. And I think if they get what they want, as far as, I think they already have the funding, but like the vision, I think it would be a good spot for a brewery.
Sure.
And it's that main drag of Jinx, basically from just when you pass the aquarium and like the big bank.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's going to, national, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say. I don't think I signed an NDA, but I'll just stop. But there are national chains and like, and when I say chains, I'm not talking food. I'm talking retail outlets and like things that.
Yeah, and they were trying to recruit us to be down there.
Oh, were they?
Which I don't know if it was a better idea to go there or downtown. I like our space downtown.
That downtown space is tough though.
tough.
It's just tough. Not yours. I just meant it was tough for Prairie. It seems to be tough just for some reason. Maybe because if there's not concerts, there's not a lot of people
Action
on like a non-Friday, Saturday, or I don't know. I don't know what it is about that space and like that location on that corner. Or maybe
it doesn't have,
I don't know.
It doesn't have the foot traffic with retail.
Also true. Because other than Ida Red, there's no retail.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a dry area of, if there's not an event happening, it's hard to pull people into that corner of downtown.
Yeah.
Is what we've found out, but we're making it work.
Sure. Yeah. I'm making sure my brother saw my text because he's 5 minutes past when I told him to jump on. He might be dealing with a baby. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, or a toddler, I guess.
That might be me at some point in time.
Yes, it will. Oh yeah. The first episode post baby that you come on,
that'll be,
I assume you'll probably be at home.
Probably.
But you might want to get away. You might be here.
I might be here. I might be begging you for me to be here.
Please, let's do 4 this week.
Yeah. How long are the episodes? 2 hours? Great.
Done. Yeah.
It's something that is non-diaper ridden.
But I was going to say that first episode, we would probably hear some little
yeah, probably
background.
Yeah, if I was home. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were home.
Right. But
man. So what's how are you mentally with New Year's resolutions?
Sometimes I'm pretty strong.
I think they're stupid.
And sometimes I'm not at all. I think the idea of a resolution is stupid. Mainly because it's this declaration of immediate change when you haven't practiced it.
This is my official looking brother now joining us on the podcast for the first time. That is the background. Have you used that in your social videos? Is that where you do those?
I should, but no, this is my wife very rarely lets me in the office. So this is her.
Oh, okay. So that's her background.
Yeah.
Got you. What were we just talking about? Because I was going to ask CJ.
Resolutions.
Yeah. How do you feel about New Year's resolutions? I think they're stupid.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say stupid, or at least if you're going to have them, at least start them at some point, right? But
I mean, here's why I think they're stupid. How many people do you hear of August 2nd referencing their New Year's resolutions that they're still doing? I mean, it's
because no one keeps them till August 2nd.
Yeah. In Austin, I think you're correct in that, like, the thought behind it, like the genesis of I'm going to try to make myself a better person by doing XYZ is like
valid,
commendable.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, good for you. But you should also just like try to do that. It doesn't.
Yeah. You're not going to change your life in one day to the next.
It's hard for me to articulate what I'm trying to say because I don't know, because I feel like I have like weekly and daily and monthly, if you want to call them resolutions, but it's like, I want to try to do this. I want to not do this. I want to spend my time doing more of this and less of this, but I don't like sit there and make a list and a vision board and cut out pictures of Taylor Swift and put it up on my wall. I don't see
it worked for Travis.
Do what?
That it worked for Travis. Maybe you should try it.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I need to make a friendship bracelet for someone and just send it to her with my number on it. Yeah. So CJ is in the the mortgage space. I was going to say real estate space, but we were talking earlier about, at least here, and I don't know, I think Dallas is a lot like this too. I don't know if you knew we were going to talk about work, but you could chime in here. Tulsa is trending towards this like uber not centralized, but like localized neighborhood pockets of things that are opening up. So like just within the last, probably month, there's been this area of town that's literally less than a block. I mean, it's like a quarter block in circumference.
It's called Sobo.
Yeah, Sobo, South Boston. And there's been a restaurant and bar that opened up There's been a
small grocery
pub
store
that's opened up. There's been a kind of like a diner type vibe that's also a grocer that's opened up. And that area already had like a dive bar and a nice Italian restaurant and a nice like American style restaurant and a Mexican restaurant and all this different stuff. And so what I was thinking is like, what's that? I would assume that's going to drive up the not profitability, but like the cost and like the desire to want to live in that area, right? Like, do you see that? Because Dallas has that too, right? Like you'll have pockets, whether it's Knox Henderson or you'll have to help me because I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, Bishop Arts or something like that. So I would assume like as these things get kind of entrenched in society, that the desire to want to be there only drives up costs. Oh, did I lose my brother? Oh, I did.
He hung up on us.
He hung up. I needed to land the plane there. I was struggling so much to land the plane that he just jumped off. We'll see if he comes back on. But
it's like, screw that question.
Yeah. I would, you'd have to imagine it would though, right? Like,
yeah,
all of this could be where I'm getting at is all this could be positive for the neighborhoods in which it happens in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with the brewery district that I would coin the brewery district in Kendall Whittier, where we are, like it's highly increased, property value for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also, I would love to know, like, how long does it take for a neighborhood like that to actually become a flourishing neighborhood?
Like to see the benefit of it?
Yeah. Like Bishop Arts District, I started going there in 2010 and it was like a couple of places. And now it's like,
there's a good barbecue restaurant. There's good coffee shops. There's
small boutiques. There's a pie shop. There's you name it.
Yeah.
How long does that cycle take?
That's a great question. If CJ jumps back on, I'm assuming probably his phone died or something.
Maybe.
But yeah, if he jumps back on, we'll ask him that. But let's go back to the resolution thing. Did you, whether you want to call it a resolution or not, do you have like, what's your big goal for 2024? It could be personal, professional, or both.
Lisa and I were talking about this and we came to the conclusion to keep the kid alive would be great.
I mean, yeah.
That's
say less. That's the perfect resolution considering what's about to happen in your life. Yeah.
I will say this.
Small human alive.
Yeah. I will say this. We're definitely going to cut back on sugar.
Yeah.
And that is a New Year's resolution that I've ever actually kept twice.
Did you hang up on me because I was failing to land the plane with that question? Because it was taking a minute to get to where I was going.
No, I might.
Okay.
I can barely.
He was put in the office where his internet doesn't work.
Oh, is that the problem? Yeah, I see it. You're frozen. We might have to give this another try sometime. Because I don't know if you can hear us. Yeah, you're just frozen. I'll take you off the screen. Yeah, there he goes. We might have to make that work a different time. That's funny. But you could tell too. He's like, I read that.
Bye.
Okay.
I've actually kept that resolution twice in my life. To
do less sugar.
No.
Keep the human alive.
Well, I've kept myself alive every year that I've lived.
Good job.
That's pretty good.
A for effort.
No, to cut sugar completely out.
Ooh, so you're going
the entire year.
Out?
I haven't started yet, but I think so. It started when I was real young. I don't know why my parents wanted to do this, but one year we just decided as a family to cut sugar completely out. Completely. When I was a young teenager.
Now, when you say that, are you doing fake sugar as a substitute for or are you not eating fruit because fruit contains sugar? Or is it artificial?
Artificial sugar. Okay. So anything that was artificial, we cut completely out. And we kept it for the entire year. We did it.
Was it hard to go back to sugar? As in like things were like you could tell if something was artificially sweet or it's like, oh
yeah, it had things had this weird twang to them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was weird to integrate back into the sugar, which probably just should have kept it there.
Yeah.
But
we'll try this again and see if your internet's going to work.
I think I figured
Switch to a computer. All right, that's probably smart.
Problem solving.
No, we were talking. Austin was saying one time one of his resolutions or goals this year is to cut back on sugar intake, and they did that as a kid. And I mean, look, I try to eat good, and I watch what I've been watching more than sugar, at least in 2023, was sodium. Yeah. So I realized my blood pressure, maybe I was a few lbs over what I wanted to be at too, but my blood pressure wasn't where I wanted it. And so working out and then just consciously like not eating a ton of salt, which I love salt. That's hard to do.
That's a hard one.
It made a difference.
Sugar was hard. So Lisa and I did it and actually succeeded one year to cut sugar completely out. What the weird thing is like, it's this conscious decision, different than, I think the reason that we succeeded was it wasn't a forced routine thing. It was, you just had to pay attention to what you were eating. And so the hardest thing was like, oh, well, we have to buy this specific kind of ketchup.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have a resolution, CJ, or two? I mean, Austin's he and Lisa are having their first kid.
So our resolution was to keep the kid alive.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great, yeah.
I mean, Jackson might qualify as your resolution as well.
Sure. Yeah.
But did you make one, or do you and Rebecca talk about that?
I was actually thinking about this today in the office. So really all the like goals and stuff that I worked on were all work related. I probably should spend some time on
personal growth.
Sure, my wife and kid would appreciate that.
Lower your golf handicap by a point, something.
Hey, yeah. Love that. Play more golf. Yeah. I think
that's a good one.
We can all get behind. Yeah.
That's a good one. So I can try in a more succinct way to land the plane and ask the question I was asking when we lost you the first time, which was like, I know it already exists in Dallas, right? You have the Knox Henderson area, you have Bishop Arts, you have just all these little pockets of like really cool neighborhoods that are almost self-sufficient in a way. Like there's restaurants and coffee shops and little stores and all that. I feel like that's not just now taking on in Tulsa, because we've had Cherry Street, we've had Brookside and Utica, but there's more of them popping up in little areas. Just this last month, I don't want to totally repeat what we've been talking about, but there's been another little location that opened. And what we were wondering, and you might know being in the mortgage and real estate world, like how long does it take for a neighborhood like that let's just say is relatively new to see like property value spike and to become a wanted location for people when they're either looking to move to an area or move within an area? Like, is there a timeline usually for that?
I mean, as far as property value, it can happen pretty quickly. Just because really what appraisers are looking for, right, is they're looking for the most recent comparable, right? So if you get one sold property that's flipped and done and desirable, right, it kind of builds off each other from there. So it's really just kind of where the money's going into. And to your point, right, there's been a ton like, Knox Henderson, Lower Greenville, all that happened within like a year or two, just because the money went. So it can happen super quick.
Is there an up and coming one in Dallas that you have your eye on?
So believe it or not, Oak Cliff has been for a little bit and is continuing. There's some actual really cool pockets of Oak Cliff, and I got some.
When I played basketball in high school, those road games to Oak Cliff, you did not.
SOC Oak Cliff. They're still good.
You did not want to venture very far out. You just wanted to play your game and go home.
Yeah, there's still pockets of it, but there's a lot of Oak Cliff has kind of turned over a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I would say that's probably the next one that I don't think it'll get to Knox Henderson or anything, but
sure,
turnover.
It's interesting. Any advice for this is just going to be an eclectic conversation. I'm asking you all sorts of different stuff. Any advice for a soon-to-be first-time father, considering you're a little bit into it now?
Yeah. Don't do what I did. No.
That list is long too. It's a long list. Yeah,
for sure. I think it's just, try your hardest to get comfortable with just not being in control. That's been my biggest struggle with all of it, is everything in my life, work-wise, everything like that, I felt like I had control over. And then this little, monster comes in the world and you have no idea what he's thinking, no idea what he needs. And it's just kind of gripping on for dear life. But they are a lot more, a lot less fragile than you think too.
That's what I've heard. They bounce.
They bounce.
Jackson probably hits his head, I'd say, on average, like 3.5 times a day. So he's, it's also honestly probably good for him to, at a certain age, right? I wouldn't do it right away, but to kind of get it
throw a helmet, some shoulder pads on him, and let him go out there and run into things. What I'm looking forward to seeing in CJ's journey as a father, I wouldn't call you a germaphobe necessarily, but you're borderline, right? Like you're very big on keeping the nose clean. Very, very big on that. Not a big fan of coughing kids being around.
But kids cough.
That's where I was getting at. So as Jackson gets older and starts to go to like Mother's Day out, if they still have that, if that's what it's called, or preschool or kindergarten, like that kid is going to come home with stuff caked all over his face and nose and coughing and all this. And I'm very curious to see if you have a mental breakdown or if you figure out how to combat
I wouldn't
that.
even say I'm a germaphobe. Because I don't care if it's around me. I just don't want it around Jackson, and it's totally self-serving. I just don't want to have to deal with him getting sick. That's not that's really I don't want the ramifications of the coughing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's coming your way too, buddy.
It's coming my way.
And they're doing the not figuring out or not knowing the gender of the baby.
Rebecca, my wife, that's what she wanted to do, but I couldn't handle it. So I convinced myself it was a girl, and she thought it was a boy. So she decided to let me see the gender, so I wasn't disappointed.
You should do that for the second kid.
Second one, I would be more willing to do just because. It's the second one. That's
all right. Let's talk.
We're staying strong.
Yeah,
we still don't know.
That's impressive. So Austin is are you a scratch golfer?
I probably used to be.
Did you play college?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's fixed my swing for a minute there. Was that 2 summers ago?
That was 2 summers ago.
Was one range session with him.
There you go.
Like legitimately. And so I just say that because I'm about to ask you football questions, and Austin isn't much
do you still remember some of the?
Oh yeah. I still do some of those drills.
Sweet.
The step through and that kind of stuff. Yeah. I do
right
that
on.
If I go to the range, but my problem is with my work life. It's like I show up 5 minutes before tee time.
Sure.
Like, quick stretch.
Yeah.
Grab a drink and let's go to the tee.
Now the nice thing about those drills is you can actually do them on the golf course.
True.
Like for one hole.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And then play the rest. You've got 18 holes.
Yeah.
So sacrifice 2 so that the other 16 are a little bit more fun.
And probably a little better on the scorecard.
Probably.
We would hope. So CJ, when I ask you about football, just know that we can have this conversation because last night he watched The Sound of Music.
Yes. Okay. My football was in the hills of Austria.
In the hills. I love that. What was your takeaway from the semifinals, and who do you like for the championship? Let's just start there.
Man, my takeaway was this is 2 years in a row of really, really good football in the semifinals, which is cool. The more I think about it, the more I talk myself into Washington, which I don't love.
I love their coach, though.
Love their coach. And, I think Michigan, any team not named Georgia, I think they have the most talent in, the nation. But I don't know. I just feel like Washington matches up pretty well with them. So I'll be curious to see. One thing I don't expect to happen is I don't expect Michigan's defensive line to be able to push Washington's around as much as they did Bama's. So that'll be interesting because I think.
And forgive me, are we talking college or pro?
We're talking college right now.
Okay,
so
that's
the
what I thought.
semifinals yesterday, Alabama beat Texas in overtime,
which I heard was a nail biter.
Michigan beat Alabama.
Wait, what did I just say?
You said
Alabama beat Texas.
Sorry, Washington beat Texas.
Yeah, Washington beat Texas.
Alabama lost in overtime to Michigan.
Yeah. I did catch a little bit of the Texas last 40 seconds.
Well, that was the best part of the game. Yeah. That was fantastic. I'm with you on Washington, though. I think I was big on Washington against Texas. I just bet the other game wrong, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to go big on Washington money line, probably Washington first half, and just do all the little prop bets you can do.
I'll be curious what the line does. I would.
What did it open at?
Open at 4, I believe, and then last
for Washington.
-4 for Michigan. Yeah.
Oh wow! So Washington's the dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if I would love it to get 5, 6, something like that, where you can get close to the touchdown, then I feel like you can hammer it. But I agree. I think money line's probably what I'll do.
Yeah. And then real quick thought on the Dallas Cowboys before we let you go.
Cool.
Are we talking about the Dallas Cowboys?
We are right now.
Are they in the running for anything special?
Sure. If they win Sunday, they'll be the 2 seed in the NFC. So they'll get home games up until, well, possibly all the way to the Super Bowl if San Francisco loses, but if not, until the championship game. The
Tell
NFC
me more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Dallas's projected path if they win, right? I think getting Tampa or New Orleans and then getting Detroit is about as good of a path as you can have. And
that Lions game scares me because of what happened the last time. I feel like that's like karma coming back to bite you.
For sure. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah. But other than, it's the only way you make it to the Super Bowl is if someone upsets San Francisco, I feel like.
Sure.
I don't think we have a prayer without injury or something like happened last year.
Although they're not playing, well, I guess they did play good this past weekend.
Not really.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, they seem No, I don't know if I want to say they seem beatable, but they seem human.
Yeah, it's the thing, though. Teams seem human against everyone but the Cowboys. We figure out a way to
Amen to that.
Make teams look great.
Seriously.
For the last 20 years.
Yeah. It's been so... I had that conversation with someone the other day, like... their last Super Bowl was 96, right?
90.
Yeah.
I was 12.
Yeah.
Because I was 3.
I was 7.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's been so long. But it was so cool.
I would love to see them in the Super Bowl.
By the way, how good does Jimmy Johnson look for 80?
That was
when they
really
said
cool.
He was 80, it blew my mind. Like he's obviously there. He talks every weekend on the Fox pregame show, but he just looks great for 80 and is eloquent and still has that. How about them Cowboys? Like it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. No.
Shout out the Moss Group real quick. What do you guys do? How can you help people?
Yeah, so we're mortgage lenders. So, just kind of help people get their goals figured out, make sure they're, looking at the right houses with their budget and, what they're wanting to spend and different programs and all that good stuff, licensed in Texas and Oklahoma. So
where do they find you? Your website?
Yeah, it is themossgroup.mortgage, or you can email me at cj@themossgroup.mortgage.
Done. Did you come up with that logo? You're not that creative. Who came up with that logo?
AI. Yeah.
That was AI. Okay.
I did not. But
right on.
Got some great hats.
I love it. Well, go spend time with. I'm hoping your kid is asleep and not awake, sick. But
something's very wrong. If she's awake.
Right. Yeah. Go spend time with your wife. Hang out. We'll talk to you later. All right. See ya.
Good to see you, CJ.
That's fun. He does a good job at explaining in a way in which everyone can understand. Basically, the nice way of saying, no, you can't afford that house. You need to get this house.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's an important thing to know.
Truly, the overbuying is easy to talk yourself into.
Sure,
but you always need to underbuy.
Yeah, or just buy land and sit on it.
That would be even
That's
smarter.
My next move.
Yeah,
that's my next move.
Where would you buy land?
Out near like Skytook in the Osage Hills.
Ooh,
yeah.
I think I would probably go.
I like it out there.
Yeah, I'd go southeast, like the Kiamichi Ridge.
Oh, that could be cool.
Yeah. Have you ever been down there?
No. Do you hunt down there?
No, I haven't ever hunted down there. You can, and there's a lot of great hunting. There's a lot of good black bear hunting.
When are we going? Oh, I don't want to do that.
Oh, I do.
Bears scare the fuck out of me because I can't outrun them. I can't outjump them. I can't outclimb them.
And you have to hunt them with bows.
okay, no, that's kind of cool. But like my luck, right? I would have one,
right,
and I would pull it back, and it would like thud out, and it would like
lock eyes with you.
It would hit it, but like it would be more of like an insulting like hit on its like
piss it off.
It's like nose or something. It just looks at me and like I don't know. What's the movie with Leo DiCaprio where he gets mauled by the bear?
Oh my gosh,
that'd be me. I can't think of the name of it, but we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'll come up with the
It's
name
on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. When are we going hunting, by the way? You said you were gonna.
Oh, that would be
I was
cool.
gonna go with you, but I'm not gonna shoot anything. But I'll just go hang out.
We've got 15 days.
Let's do it this weekend.
Yeah.
When are you going hunting? Do you have any time planned between now and?
Probably somewhere in between Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
All right, let me know.
Yeah, we could go sit out in the woods.
I mean, I've been known to bring my coffee places, so
yeah.
And that would be a damp day. I would bring some bourbon.
Some bourbon.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be better to bring bourbon than coffee because it's less aromatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very alcoholic of me. I was going to say you could just bring vodka, but who wants to do that? I was thinking of stuff that doesn't smell.
I will say this, this year, well, I guess it was last year. That's weird. Is my best hunting day that I've ever had other than taking a deer. I took a flask of Stoutfire.
Nice.
into the tree stand. And I kid you not, every sip that I took, a deer showed up. So I was like, this can really play out really well. It was like this routine. I was like, ooh, this is a really good time to get a sip of Stoutfire. Oh, there's a deer.
But then you can't like hurry to get your
right.
Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, let's if you decide to do that, let me know because I don't have
I'll
really
give you a
have
shout.
much this weekend.
Perfect.
Yeah,
let's go.
Just hanging out. That was fun. Yeah, it was an eclectic episode.
It was.
But that's kind of what I want this live stream to become, where it's like random people. Well, not that they were random. It's Trout and my brother, but like people have the link and can jump on.
We talked about beer and mortgages.
Yeah. And
we went from
resolutions and
babies,
neighborhoods and babies and
golf. A little bit of golf. Some shitty
I will say I've drank. So the last time I had that non-alcoholic Guinness, I had not had as many Guinnesses as I've had over the last 2 weeks at Bishop Quigley's.
Yeah.
Definite difference.
Yeah.
Trout's right. It's a good non-alcoholic beer. But it's no skinny mambo to mambo.
Okay. But you still finished it.
I mean, don't leave a wounded soldier on the battlefield.
Sure.
You gotta I gotta do my part.
Yeah. Gotta take it home.
So Monday will be January 8th. We will not do that because that's the championship game. So we'll do Tuesday. We'll do a week from today, which will be January 9th. I'm glad
is Tuesday just going to be our day during football season?
Oh, normally I don't care about Monday Night Football necessarily.
Okay.
But maybe we should, I don't know. We'll talk about it off.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
That could be another 30 minutes with you guys sitting there. Don't want to do that. Thank you for tuning in, for listening on Spotify. Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to do some sort of giveaway for subscribers that have subscribed since we started this new iteration or life cycle or whatever of tasting room. Yeah. And so, I know when that date was, so I've been watching the follower count grow. So I'll cut it off probably maybe end of the month or something like that.
Sweet.
But things that we're allowed to give away, there's things we're not allowed to give away, but we will do it above board and you will like the gifts that come your way. So do subscribe, comment if you see it. Any questions?
Like it.
Or like it. Yeah,
rate
like it as well. Yeah. Rate the podcast. All the things. You know what to do. And enough people tell you what to do when you're listening to the podcast. But if there's anybody you want to see on or you recommend we have on or think it would be a fun conversation, drop us a note and let us know.
Right on.
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you too.
I'm excited to sip some bourbon in a tree stand or something.
Let's do it.
Oh, man. All right. See you guys. Love
right
you.
on. See you.